No, it's exactly like you said. Because I remember I messaged you. I think it was for your birthday, and I messaged you saying thank, because I think it's like you say, on especially on social. A lot of people are so quick to comment when they don't like something, and a lot of people comment
Yep.
when something goes wrong.
Yep.
But and I was thinking this to myself. This was a couple of weeks before I started this, and I went, "When's the last time I messaged somebody to just say, hey, that thing you did was pretty cool?" And I really made it. And I really
I
made it like a
ask
mission to do so.
I ask kids to do that. Tends to
Mm-hmm.
be at the end of term. I say to them, right, not me. Don't message me. But what I want you to do is to send somebody an email to say thank you. Whether that's a teacher or whatever it is, send somebody a message to say thank you. The other bit to it is, my kids heard me on the phone complaining to a helpline, and I really gave it to them. And I didn't swear. I wasn't abusive. I just said how ridiculous the situation was, and they heard me, and I didn't like that because they're not used to seeing that. My kids have had it's been pretty not easy. It's been nice. They've not heard daddy shout or get, that's not true, because they quite often shout referee at the TV, because that's what they heard me shout on a touchline. But they've never seen that. And we were in a Pizza Express, and the waitress was going beyond what she needed to do. It was just me and the girls, and she was brilliant. She was so good. Brought them their stuff first and spoke to them and got them the crate, and I thought, right, here's a chance. I said, would it be possible to send the manager over? And the manager came over and said, listen, absolutely top drawer, great service, made us feel really, and the kids witnessed me do that, and I thought that was really important. And he said, yeah, she gets a lot of comments, she is excellent, thank you, but could you put that online for me, please, because actually there's not much I can do with it, it has to be recorded on. So I did, but they didn't see that. But at least the bit they saw was given praise. And you're absolutely right. Like, when do people go online to give reviews? When they're hacked off.
Yeah.
And like you're saying, I'm going to message somebody to say well done or thank you or that was nice. Those are great things. And I got a message for somebody I love to bits, Ali Little, who I taught with at Hoyk and is from Langham, Scotland rugby player, brilliant lady, Ali. And I'd said during one of the Doddy things, send somebody a present, and she sent me a message saying, I'm sending this to a friend of mine because you, and I thought, that's cool. Like, that's, whether she was the only person that did it or there was 100, I don't know, but Ali told me she did it, and that's cool. And using, not necessarily influence, but just spreading that kind of positivity is needed, I think. And I'm happy to do it, and I enjoy doing it, and I get a kick out of it when people do it to me. When people are nice to me, it makes me feel good. So I want to be nice to other people. And I had a long chat with a kid yesterday, and I was saying to him that I remember reading a story. I lived in Hong Kong. I was a teacher in Hong Kong, and it was after 9/11, which is making me sound really old, but it was after 9/11, and there was a lot about the world and how do we make the world a better place. And I was telling a kid the story yesterday. I can't make the world a better place, but I can make my world a better place. And I read this story, and it was in Singapore, and this family had watched this old lady walk from home to the market every day and struggle with her shopping bags. So they'd put a bench outside, and they saw the lady have a rest on the way back with her heavy shopping bags. And I thought, that's cool. They've made the world a better place for that lady. But then what they did was they went out and they sat next to her, and they heard her story, and they made a connection. And on a hot day, they took out a glass of cold water with ice in it. And that is an amazing thing. They made their little bit of the world that was in their control a better place. That's cool. That's something we can all do. I can't deal with vaccinations, Donald Trump, Matt Hancock, I can't impact on that. My oldest daughter's quite sensitive, hears things and watches things on the news, and she'll ask me about it. And sometimes I have to say, I don't know, sweetheart. I don't know. I don't know why that's the case. But what I do know is me and you can do this, and we can make sure that Granny and Granddad are doing this, and that we're okay, and if we could have everybody looking after their own little bit, then the big world would be a better place. But I can't control that. And that's this podcast has been interesting because somebody in Honduras has listened to the Happiness Is podcast. Like, what's that? Like, how, who, what did they get out of it? Like, I want to go to Honduras and meet this person.
Yeah.
But that's far reaching. I was just glad that somebody in Selkirk had listened to it, but actually there's somebody in Honduras has listened to it. And I wonder what that's done. I wonder if it made them smile. If that was all it did, then I'm pretty chuffed with that. If it made them go and put a park bench outside for the old lady that was struggling with her shopping, then even better. If it made them send a present to somebody they played rugby with when they lived in Liverpool, that's cool too. So yeah, it's as you're hearing, I love to talk, but I get excited and I get passionate about those things.
There's nothing wrong to talk. It's like because I like it's what you said here. Pretty much. So when I started changing my life around a little bit in the past couple of years, and I remember this one quote that stuck with me. It was from it was around it must have been the 2012 Olympics, because every sporting event I have of a memory seems to revolve around the 2012 Olympics. And it was the track cycling coach, and he went, I'm like, I need to be 10 seconds fast, or I need to be a second faster or something. He's like, I'm never going to find that one thing that makes me a second faster, but I know I can go away and find 10 things that make me a tenth of a second faster. So by the time I've done all those, I'm the second faster. So it's like you said, you do a bunch of, if everybody did a bunch of little things, it turns into one big thing.
Yeah,
and it really is that simple. Yeah,
people can stress a lot about those things, and I can't. And sometimes I do, and sometimes things make me sad that I can't control, and that's also okay. You're allowed to be sad, and that's, you know, you can cry. You can working with boys, and as I do, and teenage boys, I try and communicate with them around their emotions, that you can feel sad, you can cry, you can be frustrated, you're allowed to be angry. It's what you do with it that's then important. And I speak to the boys a lot about the straw that breaks the camel's back. So if somebody has heard something 10 times that day, you might think it's the tiniest little thing, but their reaction seems to be out of proportion. Well, the reason it's out of proportion is you probably weren't the first person to give them that bit, or you've just heaped something on top of what was already a big pile of rubbish. So yeah, my two big things that I speak to boys a lot about are responsibility and kindness, and those are big themes that I think cover all sorts of other things, and teachers and coaches and managers and leaders in industry, they try and distill things, and then people say, but what about this one? And that's fine. But for me, it's responsibility and kindness. And I feel like I can almost work every situation or story or, solution back to responsibility and kindness.
No, I couldn't agree. Like on the thing you talk, like especially as you say, you work with like young men, and it's like there's nothing like I say right now, like Sam Matthews. I'm 25. I like to cry some days. Nothing absolutely wrong with that at all. Like it's like you said, the straw breaks the camel's back. Even just saying it out loud makes a difference to some people.
And emotions are tough because you can't see them, and that's and the way you express an emotion, the way we express emotions are different, and that then makes it difficult to read. I mean, humans are bloody complicated, and we really shouldn't be if we could be honest. And that's, sometimes I throw stats at classes. I've done this a lot in the time that I've been involved in the pastoral side of teaching, as a guidance teacher, as a deputy head, and as a housemaster. I'll say to kids, 1 in 2 of us is, half of this class is going to have some form of cancer. 1 in 4 in here are likely to be LGBTQ plus. That's real. That's what it is out there. Now, some of that is not the case, but that's the world that we live in. And there are people in here who are putting on a face. They're putting on an act. There are people in here who are doing things online that they shouldn't be doing, even though you've just given me the correct answer around how you should behave online. There are, and the emotion is the complex bit, the bit that makes it difficult. And emotions are so important for us to feel a sense of belonging and purpose. And, you know, we want to be loved, we want to express joy. But for that, you also have to have those moments of sadness because it matters to you, and frustration probably because it matters to you. I think there's a difference between frustration and anger, and I don't often get angry, but of course it happens. And as long as that behavior is managed, and you know, we can explain it away, or sometimes I have to say sorry, you know, we move on. And too many people are holding too many things in. And it's important that we find mechanisms to try and get these out, and that people feel comfortable enough to talk about them, or do them, or express them, or write them down, or do whatever it is. And I don't have the answers, and I'm not a mental health expert by any stretch, but I'm an expert in my own mental health. And I feel like I'm close to being an expert with the people around me. And that's one of the bits about the job I do. And having been a teacher, I'm not the best teacher, I'm not the best coach by any stretch. Technically, you could dazzle me with all sorts of things, but my strength is I kind of get people. I can read emotion. I think I'm quite good at motivating people. I'm completely disorganized. If I was to move the camera and you saw my desk, you would think, what the hell are you doing? But people is the bit I'm best at, and the bit I enjoy the most.
And well, that's arguably the most difficult part. Like you say, anybody can do drills, or anybody can write down what they've been told in the textbook, but nobody can inspire everybody. You inspire a lot more people than most of the great coaches. So,
well, and it's an interesting one, because some of the people I've worked with